Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So welcome to our very first webinar series hosted by the Activation Group called The Marketing Takeaway. So I'm Roy, founder of DIFY, and it's my pleasure to be your MC for today. On behalf of the Activation Group, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us today as we discuss the new age of brand loyalty with a panel of industry leaders. A brief rundown for today's event. First of all, we will have an opening speech and presentation by the Activation Group. Secondly, we will proceed with the panel discussion where we'll go through interesting topics relevant to today's context. And lastly, we will then move on to the Q&A session where fellow marketers and business owners like yourself will be able to ask any queries and get it answered by our experienced panelists. Speaking of panelists, we are extremely humbled to be able to invite the following industry veterans to join us today. We have senior representative from ASME, CVV Production, Kobe, as well as the Activation Group themselves. So do stay tuned to hear from the expert on how to maneuver in the new age of brand loyalty. Do stay till the end of the discussion as the Activation Group is offering a free brand consultation to all who are interested. All right, so to briefly introduce the Activation Group, they are a homegrown 360 marketing agency that is headquartered in Singapore and with regional offices in Malaysia, Thailand, and Hong Kong as well. I think the best person to talk about this will be none other than the founder of the company herself, Ms. Evangeline Lee, Managing Director of the Activation Group. Ms. Evangeline, please. Thank you, Evangeline.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. I'm Evangeline, the Managing Director of the Activation Group. First of all, let me start by thanking everyone for taking time, taking time off your busy schedule to join us here. I'd like to especially thank our invited speakers, Ms. Irene Boey, Mr. Jeremiah Su, Ms. Evangeline Leong. I really appreciate your sincere support and time to support our events. I'm also grateful to be able to learn from the best practitioner in our industry. Also my colleague here, Edmond Lee and Roy Kick, is here with us. And to all our audience, including my friends, my partners, thank you for your support. And I hope you guys will find our webinar useful today. I think we all realize that lately we have been awakened in the most unusual way. It made us relook at our world in a different perspective. And inevitably, it has made adjustment to our way of life, especially in a commercial world. Our past success and our current way of work is not enough. The question business leaders need to ask themselves is how to design our business method to be able to constantly offer the most value for our customers and their business. So the current situation has shown some of us that change may not be a bad thing. Uncertainty, as usual, has raised the stake and forces us to be more flexible and remind us to get out of our comfort zone more and move forward, evolve with the change of time. If not, we'll be left behind. Those who move last will not be able to move far enough, or without conviction, we will lose. But if we move boldly, and of course carefully, we will be the leaders for tomorrow. So our company has started since 1992. We started off with VMSD and later years formed the Activation Group. It has grown from a local technical firm to a fully integrated 360 marketing communications and brand activations powerhouse. There are 6 business units within our group and each have its own expertise. We have had over 25 years of experience in marketing local and international brands such as Dejo, Pernod Ricard, Lancome, Johnson & Johnson, mostly retail and FMCG brands. Our event units also is experienced in managing government events for more than 10 years. Thank you, some of my colleagues are here. Thank you very much for helping us and supporting us all the way. So I recall our companies went through SARS also during SARS period in 2003. We lost most of our projects that year, but we came up with minimal damage. Because we quickly turned our attentions to, came up with suitable marketing concepts for the FMCG customers at that time. Especially during pandemic like that, we reckoned that they will promote essential products to the market. Our company did very well that year, and obviously we learned a lot. From that learning, in order to retain our customers, we diversified and expanded into providing additional service to our customer. Example, we set up our human resource unit specializing in manpower solutions to support our customer on the shop floor. This unit, we call it OOMF. After that, we continue to grow. And then we also decide to increase our support to our customer in the Southeast Asia region. So we set up offices in Hong Kong, Thailand, and now Malaysia. With presence in these countries, our company is able to support our customers with projects around this region. This time, COVID has raised the stake even higher for us. Who would ever expect so many businesses in the world practically came down to a halt for so many months? And even worse, almost all countries can get locked down for such a prolonged period of time. It's actually very shocking. So once again, we have to quickly relook at our business model and rethink new and suitable solutions for our customers' businesses. Help them to go the next distance. In a while, my colleague Edmond Lee, our Business Development Director, will share with you our latest initiative we have embarked on since the start of this pandemic. The Activation Group will continue to develop a series of webinars to serve you in the next few months with topics that we hope to help other businesses and brands out there to remain relevant. Today, our topic is about how we sustain brand loyalty. So thank you very much and hope you enjoy this session. Hope to see all of you in the next few webinars. Good luck and stay safe.
All right, thank you, Jasmine. Thank you for your speech. Okay, so right now, let's move on to the highlight of today's session, the discussion with our panel speakers. So can all of our panel speakers please join us right now, please? Right, hi guys.
Hi everyone.
Hello, hello.
Hi Irene.
Sorry.
Hi Edmond and hi Evangeline. Thank you guys for joining us today. So before we start on the panel discussion, right, can each of you give a little introduction about yourself? So why not we start with Edmond first?
Okay, hi guys. My name is Edmond. So I'm the Director of Business Development for the Activation Group. So a bit about my background. So I've been in marketing communications and creative agencies for over 25 years. I've worked in Kuala Lumpur, Hong Kong, Macau, and now Singapore. So that's pretty much it about myself.
All right, awesome. So Jeremiah, do you want to share with us right now?
Yes, okay, I'll give myself 30 seconds. So hello everybody, my name is Jeremiah. I'm the Director of Communications and Chief Cheerleader for CVP Group. CVP Group, we are a content creation firm. We make content pure and simple in the form of videos, photos, and animations. Currently, we are headquartered in Singapore, but we have arms in Tokyo, Hong Kong, and soon to be Shanghai. Yeah! So, yeah, rock and roll, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Wow, that's great, that's great. How about you, Evangeline?
All right, thank you. It's hard to match up with the energy level, Jeremiah. Okay, my name is Evangeline. Nice to meet all of you, panelists as well as the attendees. I run Kobe, stands for Kobe. We do influencer marketing, and it's outcome driven, where we kind of see what the client wants to achieve. We partner them to achieve what we want to create on social media, live streaming, whatsoever.
Awesome.
I happen to love yoga as well. So nice to meet everybody.
Awesome. So lastly, Irene, may you share a little bit about yourself as well?
Hi, hello everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Irene Boey, and other than being on the board of ASME, which is actually a voluntary position, I would like to just tell you about my profession. Okay, my actual profession is that of a data strategist, and I have more than 25 years in big data and artificial intelligence. So I specialize on the use of wide range of analytics techniques, including descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive analytics to actually enable businesses from different industries to gain actionable insights from their data. So the industries include banking, telco, retail, education, etc., etc. And I'm also the adjunct lecturer in National University of Singapore, NUS, specializing in data mining and the application of AI, artificial intelligence, to enable businesses to increase their customer acquisition and retain more customers. So in other words, I teach marketing managers, directors, CMOs, how to use the correct analytical techniques and methods to increase the acquisition, the growth and retention of customers. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So there it goes, guys. You know, once again, we like to emphasize that it's extremely tough and also very humble that we have all these, you know, industry veterans here today with us. So we have, you know, Jeremiah who do content producing, Evangeline from, you know, influencer marketing powerhouse, and of course, Irene, you know, we have veterans in data analytics for everyone. So, and lastly, of course, Edmond himself. So right now, we'll proceed straight away to our first question for the panel discussion. So our first panel discussion question will be, how can businesses future-proof themselves with recovery marketing strategies in order to sustain brand loyalty? So what are some of your thoughts on this? Perhaps, you know, Jeremiah, you can start off with sharing a little bit about it.
Yes. Hi, it's me, Jeremiah again. Okay, so how can businesses future-proof themselves? Okay, so from a content marketing and content creation POV, right? I feel that when you talk about future-proofing yourselves, whenever you create content, right, the best thing to always do is to create content that is timeless. Now, I know that during this time, it is very, very trendy and very, very relevant to create content that is COVID related, right? Now, that is not wrong. I'm not saying that is wrong, but I feel that when you create any piece of content, you should always look at forward-thinking strategies. So maybe you can create something that is related to health, related to well-being, related to job security, and don't even mention COVID, coronavirus, flu, vaccine, you know, all these kind of buzzwords, because once you do that, that piece of content no longer becomes timeless. So for instance, whenever you write an article on the changing trends of your industry, create an article, a video, key visual KV, or to talk about resilience during tough times so that it can be repurposed for whenever a global situation arises. Case study, back then in SARS, you know, 10 years ago, people who actually created content that is timeless, that do not use the word SARS, you know, they can repurpose it for now because same thing, different flu, right? So if you specifically create content for COVID-19, then once the pandemic boils over, that's it. Your piece of content is kind of, not say worthless, but it does not have the same longevity with it. So I will always feel that when you create content, right, always update it, you know, always have new pieces of content and it can be refreshed once again, because look at how BuzzFeed does their content. One of their most famous strategies in content creation is that the understanding that nothing is original. Every single piece of content is always recycled, reduced, not really reduced, but repurposed, okay? The second thing I would like to share is also understanding your audience personas. Now, understanding your audience personas, right, always ensure that content ideas, despite the circumstance, will always capture the engagement of your audience. Always think of your audience, always be empathetic. Don't think about your brand, think about what your audience wants. So these are just some content suggestions on how you can future-proof your marketing strategy. Back to you, Roy.
Awesome, awesome. I think it's not back to me, you know. Next up, please. Let's have Evangeline sharing a little bit about it.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing, Jeremiah. I learned something there as well. So when I think about future-proof, right, it really means lasting beyond now into the future and 100 years into the future as well. So when we think about future-proofing, right, then we go back to, you know, how a lot of businesses find it very difficult to articulate what they sell because they have many products, complex solutions, and then they have 10,000 unique benefits, which is so much and so difficult to bring across to the customers. And then every time when you whether or not there is a COVID or anything, right? When you have a certain update, you have a new product or anything, right? You struggle to actually communicate all this to your customers, and then you're like, I have all these features and benefits, and how come nobody actually still knows it, and people still think that I'm complex, or they don't exactly know who we are. So I think not just for future-proof sake, but rather what is the longevity about the brand is actually not functioning in the logical brain of ours, but it's in the emotional part of us. And if your customers are loyal to you, like fans loyal, like advocates loyal, like when they go everywhere, they would tell people they use your brand and don't trust others, it's just this brand. And then when they have that loyalty that translates to that emotional reaction, that love, then your brand is future-proof. Doesn't matter whether there is COVID or not, doesn't matter whatever, doesn't matter whether, you know, it becomes TikTok, you know, people are live streaming, and then now you have to learn what Snapchat, is it still relevant, blah, 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 blah. And then I realized one mistake is that we keep chasing after the features, the benefits, the platforms, and the trends. But rather, I thought one key thing was to chase after yourself, know that core emotion that you can drive, and drive that sustainable loyalty that is going to be proof future plus proof everything, to create this brand love. So I would want to say that if you focus on the emotional aspect, and drive that fierce die-hard loyalty with your customers, you will be future-proof.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so
Thank you.
Irene, would you like to share with us a little bit about it?
Well, just like you say, I'm veteran, so that means I'm the oldest.
Man. All of them are veterans, you know.
I'm the oldest. Okay, anyway, it's okay. Right. So I'm really glad to be here. And I think now is a time actually for businesses to seriously look inwards, you know, to actually dig deep into their precious asset, which is their data. Because these contain a lot of hidden treasure, which can actually help them embark on the recovery marketing strategies to sustain brand loyalty. Now, I'm sure you're aware, all of you are aware that data is now the coin as a new currency. And don't you think it's a pity if, let's say, businesses do not know how to unlock these very precious assets to sustain the brand loyalty? It is there already, right? And well, the secret in unlocking, basically, a lot of people tell me, well, Irene, you know, yeah, data, I do analytics and it doesn't do much for me, because there actually there are many ways of doing analysis, right? So the secret is, how deep do you dig? How deep, number one. Number two is, what lens are you wearing to guide you to where you are digging, so that you can make sense of the data that actually you're collecting, you're still collecting right now, right, on the changing market, right? So it's the ability to make sense of the avalanche of data.
She's lagging out, I guess. Let's wait for her to
future-proofing themselves. Because from the data, if you can gain insights and what are the changing behavior and what are the new personas in the market that like your product, you'll be able to write the correct message tailored to them, and you actually will be able to excite them with whatever offering you have. So the main thing is looking at your data with the right techniques, right, which I'll talk about later. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. All right, Edmond, what are some of your thoughts lastly?
Oh, okay. Hey, thanks, guys. Actually, I agree with all of them. In fact, if we were to look at the topic itself, you know, how can business future-proof themselves and recovery marketing strategies? I'd like to break it down to, say, two different, we look at it separately. So like, for instance, you know, when we talk about future-proofing, it's all about planning. So, you know, contingency planning to maintain brand visibility or to retain brand loyalty is an ongoing effort, right? Regardless of the market situation. So one has to, the fundamental of future-proofing is literally as simple as planning ahead, right? So now if, of course, a brand that has not pursued any marketing planning or any strategy or not pursued any ongoing marketing efforts, then, you know, pursuing the recovery effort now may seem like a knee-jerk reaction. And those type of efforts sometimes may be quite futile or maybe a bit too late, you know. So of course, with planning, then these businesses also need to look at their purpose, whether it's short-term selling or long-term brand building. Of course, it's always long-term brand building. And it's all about what Jeremiah and Evangeline and Irene have all said and all that. So with that in place, then we look at the recovery marketing strategies that any business can do during this, especially this circuit breaker. Now, a lot of us say that it's circuit breaker, we're coming out of it, what's the strategy now? How do we, businesses react differently? Now, I think first of all, we need to look at it firstly as a humanitarian crisis, and then secondly, as an economic crisis. So in short, it's literally a war. It's a war that's going on. Now, why do I say a war? I mean, let's ask ourselves, when was the last time our economic contraction of this scale actually happened? During a war. World War II, for a start, was the last time we saw an economic contraction of this scale. It was the time where we faced serious long-term supply problems, and some of the solutions that government had to step in to put in place, like, improvising these challenges, rationing purchases, nationalizing companies, commandeering assets, redeploying workers in certain factories to a completely different production task, and bringing even armed forces to maintain public law and order. So in that sense, it's literally a war. So with this, if we can then think of it as a war effort, how your business is going to contribute or behave during this war effort. And then from there, especially if it's a supply problem, extrapolate that for the coming months, if not years, and then work your 4 Ps around it. So that's how this recovery marketing strategy need to look at. Then we break it down to, say, a business operation. Because in recovery marketing strategies, especially like today, what got you here today may not get you there tomorrow. So we need to see tomorrow today. We need to challenge every assumption. We need to think fast, embrace perfection. And of course, it's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. So whatever business strategy you have for recovering efforts, roll it out first. Do it trial and error. I mean, after all, we are in uncharted territories now. So go ahead, just roll it out. And of course, lowering profits. Don't expect high turnover now. And look at, cost-cutting measures, of course. Because, like for instance, during the circuit breaker, we see a lot of our staffs working from home. So what's not stopping them from working from home even after that circuit breaker? So businesses, like what Irene said just now, we need to look from within. Do we really need that luxury loft office in downtown CBD? I mean, if certain businesses need to let go of staff just to maintain that luxury fleet of S-classes, then something is very wrong with their business strategy, right? So with that, then we look at marketing operations, like what Jeremiah and Evangeline said. How focused are the marketing efforts? How targeted are the channels? And then lastly, how relevant your content is towards this war effort. So then with that, that's the whole strategy around it.
Also,
Yep.
I think definitely, yes, Jeremiah.
Sorry, if you don't mind me cutting in, since this is a conversation.
Yes,
I think what Edmond said, very, very good. Plan for tomorrow, today. That will be, if there's any takeaway, that will be your tagline takeaway, man, guys, everybody who's listening in right now. But to add on to what Edmond said, crisis communication planning. A wise saying is always like, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? Just to give 2 case examples on marketing crisis communications campaigning in terms of PR. So, okay, this example is pre-COVID. When KFC in the US, when they ran out of chicken, they actually put out a full print, traditional newspaper print to say that, oh, we FCK'd up, and they actually apologized for their lack of chicken. Now, people actually lauded that as a damn good campaign, PR campaign, because not only did they apologize, not only did they connect on a human level and empathize with their customer, they were basically using that as a crisis communication plan to build brand loyalty. Now, fast forward to COVID times. During our 2nd month, everybody knew in Singapore, McDonald's had to shut down, right? That is a very, very clever crisis communication plan. I am pretty sure that O&M and all the agencies that's actually servicing the McDonald's account said, hey, if ever some joker sneeze, then half of the country need to shut down. You guys need to shut down together. Why? You're going to build brand loyalty. You're going to increase your fandom. And how was that evident? before they close, voila, everybody buy like boxes and cartons full of McDonald's burgers and then deep freeze it. Then when they reopen, same. Everybody F-care COVID and then lined up, you know. Okay, like,
are you one of them, Jeremiah? Are you one of them? Are you one of the fanboys?
Different conversation for a different day.
I'm sure.
But I mean, that is a very good case study in terms of crisis communication planning. Like what Edmond said, you plan for tomorrow, today, to build your brand loyalty and to future-proof your brand equity. That's all I had to add. I say, thank you.
No worries. I mean, this is a discussion, right? Everybody, feel free to share a thought, you know, and be it if it's opposing thought or, you know, aligning thought. I think it's good that all of our attendees here are able to understand a little bit better, you know, from understanding from planning point of view, execution from Jeremiah and Evangeline as well, you know, understanding the data from what Irene mentioned to have a better planning strategy ahead. So I think right now we have about 83 attendees, which honestly is pretty good. 83 attendees. So all of them are here to, you know, see all of you guys here. And right now we would like to encourage all attendees, you know, to press the Q&A button below to feel free to ask any questions. We will address it right after this panel session, which is pretty quick. We just have a few discussion on hand. So do feel free to use the Q&A button, you know, ask any questions you have, and we will answer it openly as well. So right now we have one question, which from Raj, we will address it later, shortly. So next up, we have our second question of today, which is about digital transformation, right? So, you know, in currently the landscape right now, the government previously, pre-COVID, was all about digital transformation, smart nation here and there. And many of the businesses, as we all know, don't really take it seriously previously, right? As you realize recently, there's all the Facebook Live, from selling of fish to selling of durians, you know, like this, you name it, they have it. So one of our main questions is digital transformation of offline events. While transitioning from offline to online events, what are some of the strategies that businesses can adopt to achieve the same level of customer satisfaction as before? I'm sure all of us here, you know, have one way or another interaction with, you know, marketing events, campaign, offline, etc. So what are some of the ways and what are some of your thoughts? So right now, let's start the other way around. Let's start with Edmond first. What are some of your thoughts?
Hey, hi, thanks. So, right, when we talk about transformation from transformation, I think two keywords here. That means always being connected, and number two, to embrace technology, especially during this war situation that we're in. Of course, if you were to ask me, this digital transformation, I'll see two things: being relevant, number two, and what's the wow factor. Let me give you an example. Take, for instance, offline events to online events. I think what's really key here is looking at sports marketing, especially how they do it. Now, these guys, they aren't exactly the greatest when it comes to digital, but them embracing it was one thing, especially during this COVID pandemic. So take, for instance, Real Madrid. Now, during the lockdown in March, right, the club literally pivoted its entire content strategy towards providing more value to the fans, you know, and maintaining visibility of the brand's partners. And how did they did this? Especially with long, successful history, the club could rely on their past footages, and some of the organic content that they had proved extremely fruitful, especially reaching out to their fans and maintaining that fan loyalty. So what they did was, some of the players actually took their skills online. Like Madrid forward Marco Asensio, he actually won the La Liga Santander Challenge. So it's a tournament which players face off among themselves in their own teams. So this actually provided extra mileage for the brand's channel. And it also spurred the adaptation of this new channel called Twitch, which the club actually just put together in 2 days. So which comes back to about it not being perfect. Fine, just roll it out first. And it also signaled a shift of a transformation from social media as just purely a broadcast channel to one that players had to be more or less forced to do so, to become a rep of the club and more interact and engage with the fans. And that was where the wow factor was, you know, and embracing technology in that sense. Yep, back to you, Roy.
Awesome. So, you know, feel free, this is the discussion. So any one of you have anything to add on, just feel free to jump in, all right? So this doesn't have to be a, you know, a rigid conversation. So I think next up, let's have Irene first.
Hi, yes, I totally agree with what Edmond said, and also I think what he said was the relevancy is very important. I want to add one more thing, which is personalization, right, for the content. Well, if you transit from offline to online, you cannot just, the strategies cannot remain unchanged, right, as you know, right? And because all the customers' behavior, the customer's journey are all very different between the online and the offline events, right? And having said that, there are only these two similarities, which is the relevancy and the personalization for each consumer. Because consumers still expect the brands to be able to give them the experience to be unique, you know, to be unique to themselves, and also to be available across all their favorite channels and places that they frequent, right? So whether your event is held on your online e-commerce platform or on your offline retail shops or any other distribution channels, the ability for brand to reach consumers and make their users feel relevant, or the content has to be relevant and personalized across all the online and offline channels, will be the key to actually improve the customer satisfaction for both this online and offline. Now, in order to come up with all these strategies to be relevant and personalized, the knowledge is important, right, from the organization. Now, businesses actually has a lot of things, a lot of data collected from consumers like that. And actually this data embed all the ever-changing spending behavior, and they need to have the ability to match the dynamic pricing with the changing affordability level right now, right? The accuracy of the just-in-time inventory so as not to have the out-of-stock situations when they open, and the accuracy of this JIT inventory. And also all this knowledge will help craft an effective message to reach the right consumer at the right channels, right, through the right events at the right time, offering the right products and services. Now, most of these businesses actually, they have all this data, but it's all over the place. So they have many factors, as you know, to consider that whether, you know, how do you actually personalize to each and every single person? But now with Industry 4.0 and the arrival of artificial intelligence, you actually have a way to do that. But however, many businesses that I met, you know, they say they're already doing analysis of their data. And they say, no, Irene, the analysis doesn't work. You know, doesn't help them too much. On closer examination, we often found that they're actually analyzing their data using what I call a fixed lens. Fixed lens, in the moving target, a fixed lens. They fix the dimensions and the sources of data using what I call a passive analytics, like Excel, like BI, business intelligence tools to analyze the data. Now, how can you expect new insights if you continue to monitor your business using dashboards that are derived from fixed dimensions, defined using business rules? Now, you know, all our rules may not work, right? Because the world is changing and it's changing rapidly. So how can you expect to get new insights, to get new knowledge of your customers' behavior that were impacted by new factors of importance, but that were not considered in your analysis before, right? So in this challenging time, I would say consumer behavior and market situation is changing so very rapidly. And it is very important for business to leverage on data-driven efficiency to power up their growth strategies. So you think that you can, you know, I don't think you can, you know, still use your traditional fixed lens to look at the changing world and hopefully to find new insights. That is difficult. I will talk about the active lens later.
That's actually very good because building on what Irene said, talking about personalization, we can look at it from a CX point of view and data marketing. Now, customer experience, right, in the past, it is always very meant for, I would say, legacy and traditional forms of experience. When you walk into a brick and mortar store, you know, the customer experience of the lights, the sound, the smell, touch. But then when you talk about digital, the CX can come in a form of data marketing, SEO, SEM, AR, VR, all these kind of content collaterals. Now, you have to understand in the customer journey, in the customer experience, in the CX, right, what touch points your customers are in. And that can only be taken in when you do data analysis, like what Irene mentioned. Like, let's say, where are your customers online? what platforms do they visit, what time do they visit on these platforms, and how do they engage you. Now, when you look at the advent of Max Leong and Lian Huat Seafood, you know, when he started to do Facebook Live selling fish, he knew that his target audience is on Facebook. Why? Because Facebook is a B2C platform. And also his character is very flamboyant, being a very down-to-earth auctioneer and building on the S-hook lady hype, you know, S-hook, S-hook. So that is where his audience was, and that is his touch point. So every single brand, right, has a different CX and has different touch points. For me personally, I have found that most of my engagement and viewership is on LinkedIn. And as a business platform, it is still emerging. It's kind of like Instagram and Facebook 5 years ago when you don't know what it was, but now it's really a lot of business content. So I put out a lot of business content talking about videos, content creation, content marketing. And my best timing is between 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Now that is me, my touch point. Huh? Yeah, data analytics, exactly. So it really boils down to your touch points and how your audience consumes your content. Whether is it Google ad banners, YouTube banners, pre-rolls, you know, TV, brochure. Maybe event might have a different take on it, because as influencer marketing and as someone who's very, very involved in events, there's definitely a shift, you know, from offline events to online events. Events on Zoom, like right now, this is an online event, you know, or even moving into AR, VR, where we have green screen and then an entire event is hosted behind a green screen with stage and AR, VR. Maybe event, what do you think? And what's your take on digitalization?
I was just thinking about when you said the engagement of 12 midnight to 1 a.m., right? I was just thinking about everybody's body clock is just haywire right now because we're all working from home. But anyway, back to the topic of like offline to online transition, right? Actually, if you think about it, why do people attend events? Of course, there's a lot of sports events like Edmond saying, and I think use of data is also good. But when you think about events, be it for music, entertainment, sports, or even a small group of gathering, education whatsoever, just a yoga class, right, I think it has two important factors there. Number one is the content of the event, whichever topic it may be. And number two, the connection that you have with the topic or with the people around you or with the instructor or with the singer or performer, so on and so forth. And so it boils down to these two C's, right? Connection and content. And then when you put it online, you realize that when you put things online, right, you can still retain that connection if you know how to, maybe as energetic and as loud as Jeremiah that can create that kind of connection. Maybe that kind of connection can even be deeper because, you know, all of you over here, right, you're putting questions into Q&A. But did you know that a lot of times when we run offline events, agents, you know, sometimes would be a bit shy to ask questions, and we usually see a lot lesser questions. But when we run something online, right, we would put in all the questions. And it's easier for us to go through like that, which means that if me as an attendee, I can be heard, I can be valued, that connection, maybe in a different form, it's just not physical, I can't touch you or anything, but that connection can still be retained because all customers want is to be valued and to be heard. And maybe online can actually do more of that. So then the first thing is to deeply think about, to remain that connection, to continue and to expand on that connection. There are so many tools that can be done online. If it's a closed group webinar like that, it'll be like Q&A. If it's a live streaming, it would be instantaneous reactions. When someone actually tunes into your live stream, like the one who sells seafood, hey, hi, thanks for coming again, I see you all the time. That person is heard, that person is valued. When you're putting up interactive quizzes or polls online, white papers, you get interaction and people still get the connection, which is awesome. Then the second thing about content is putting things in the right platform at the right places. Select LinkedIn, Instagram, so on and so forth. And something very interesting I want to share with you guys, right, about this selling seafood online, right? So in Taiwan, live streaming, 直播 or 网红 直播 is a very popular thing. Of course, because of the COVID and all that. But you realize, right, why are people in tuned to live streaming? This is a little bit like live streaming because we didn't pre-record this, right? It just flows like that. People like it because number one, you get to see a little bit of NG, like oh, the mic not good, you know, that kind of stuff. You get to feel that authenticity. So the first thing there is you get to bring across certain authenticity, and then people like that. People feel closer with that. Yes, when you go down to a shop, you decide with that look and feel, you feel it that way. But live streaming offers a very different perspective versus a pre-recorded video, and then you go there, give you a YouTube link, and you're gonna watch it, and then you're like, ah, yeah, maybe it was staged, you know, maybe it was pre-recorded, but right now it's live. It gives that across that feeling. So live streaming becomes very, very powerful in that sense. Number two, when people do social selling, like you know, the 4 key areas that people are social selling online. Number one, religious items. Number two, food products like seafood, durian, so on and so forth. Number three, household items, household accessories, IT gadgets, so on and so forth. And the fourth one is apparel and clothes. You realize that all these things, right? For example, if I'm selling this pen, I can show you this, I can touch it, you can see the size and the dimension to my hand. I can knock on it, you can kind of hear and feel the plastic. And it suddenly gives you a little bit of entertainment and a little bit more knowledge of the product that you're selling. And actually, although we are all online here, I hope this little experiment shows you that if you're connected with me right now and kind of can understand how this pen feels like, you can build that kind of connection and that content with your customers. So I think offline to online, you get to imagine a lot of things and play around with a lot of tools to make that connection. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought the same pen as Evangeline. Yeah.
Tell me this pen, right? Wolf of Wall Street. All right, so I think I really agree with what all of you have mentioned, really. I think a little thing is, for me, my personal take on offline to online transition, right? I think what really engage people in terms of online events, personally, is, you know, many of the consumer, I would say, or the Facebook users, when they are attending online events or live events, right? The reason personally I feel is it lowers the barrier of entry and gets them a lot of engagement and connections with people that they don't normally connect. Like for example, you know, Jack Neo recently had a lot of, you know, day-to-day live streams, right? It's not every day you get to speak to Jack Neo one-to-one, right? I mean, even if you speak to him or you Facebook message him, he might not reply, right? But right now with the Facebook Live, there's a lot of interaction, and even Wang Lei selling fish online with 60K views, by the way, 60K views in his peak. And I think it's really awesome. So, and also another good offline to online event transition, I would say, I'm not so sure about the sales, but I think the engagement is Shiling Night Market. I'm sure all of you here know Shiling Night Market, right? It's done by Invade. There's the digital Shiling, which I was like, whoa, that was really cool. There's like, you know, performers performing online on live stream on different timing. They can order food online. Yeah. And they even recorded crowd noise, like the NBA kind of thing. Like, I think that was really great.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think any one of you here been to the event? Be honest. The offline events. Any of the panelists? All right, I didn't manage to go to the crunchy one, but it's probably too far for me. But the online one I went because I had the comfort of my own home. So I think it's really cool.
Lazy lah.
Yeah, lazy, you know, see my size, you know I'm lazy, right? Yeah, so all right. So next up, I think I wanted to go for a next key question, but I think before I go to a key question, let's address some Q&A, shall we? Because there's like a couple of good questions right now provided by all attendees. Right now we are at 79 attendees, and we have 8 questions. So first up, as promised to Raj, if you're still here, let me answer your first question. So how do you create brand loyalty now in a COVID-19 era? Is it much more difficult to develop this loyalty than before? Any of you want to make any comments on that?
Call the activation group.
Hey.
No. Maybe I can share.
Yeah, sure.
About how I think. I think brand loyalty is a very difficult topic, and I'm really glad that Raj, you asked this question. Because I don't think there is this, okay, I need to achieve this 100 mark. Like, you know, revenue, I want to achieve 100 million and I'm there and there. But loyalty is so iffy. It's, do I have it or not? And how do I know whether I have it already or not? And what is it all together? So I think that's the toughness over there about brand loyalty. But I think regardless of COVID or non-COVID, right, brand loyalty has to be something, I believe, to be on top of what we're doing in terms of our brand and marketing. If we are looking specifically between, like, during COVID-19, is it more difficult to build brand loyalty versus, you know, the normal times, right? I wouldn't say that COVID-19 actually has a particular impact on building brand loyalty. Give you an example. I'm loyal to Coke, like the drink, right? The soda drink. And when I'm loyal to this brand, not because during COVID, then I will not be loyal to them. This loyalty, I can't even articulate in my words. And loyalty cannot be articulated. In our brain, it does not have the power of language to come up from our mouths. That's kind of like love and emotions. We want that in our client's brain, right? I don't know, I'm just like addicted to you, lor. How I explain? We want that, right? So which means that, wow, if I have to get this very dreamy, don't know what thing from my customers, first, then I need to understand, why am I loyal to my brand as a first step? Why did I build the brand? Why and what do I believe in my brand? First step to build the brand loyalty, regardless of COVID or non-COVID. And with that understanding of that why, we will then be able to break things down into emotions. And when we break down emotions and we can articulate, because I want that, say for example, for Disney, the happiest place in the world, I want to deliver happiness. And happiness is an emotion, right? When we eat McDonald's, we have a happy meal. It's emotion. McDonald's food, is it great or, you know, not so great? It's the brand, right? And that's the emotions that they stir within us, a childhood memory and all that. So the first step to building a brand is to understand the why, and then to break it down into emotions. And of course, when we do it by hijacking influencers' emotions they have with their followers, and that kind of helps us take a little bit of shortcut, right? To hijack on that brand loyalty between influencers and their followers. But that's a channel for you to amplify your brand messages. But the first step will have to be about brand. And in fact, I actually think that during COVID, it could be easier to build a brand loyalty just because others may not be focusing on that right now. And they're cutting back, they're thinking about manpower and all those things.
Budget, headcount, etc.
Yeah. I personally took a step back as well and started to rethink very deeply about all these issues. And it gives me that luxury, that 4 walls, of course, to think deeply. So in fact, I think now is a good time to have that thinking. Yeah. So that's my take.
Yeah, I agree with Evangeline. You know, when you talk about psychology, emotions and everything, it is a very strong, I would say, connection between brand and customer. You look at brands, before leading up to COVID, the past few years, a lot of brands actually gone through what we call de-branding exercises. So Nike, you have your Nike and then your Just Do It logo, right? They took away Just Do It and it's just a tick. Same with McDonald's, you know, just loving, I'm loving it, and then they just have an M. So with these de-branding exercises, they kind of humanize the brand. But then, right, to answer Raj, and then also the follow-up question from Flora Leong, which is, how do you build loyal fans during this time? I would say it is really about buzzwords. It's all about authenticity, genuineness, and empathy. And these 3 things can be achieved when you do content marketing. Now, content marketing, right, is a subset of marketing that does not sell. All content marketing does is to share and to show. You see, right, in direct marketing ideologies, brands always sell and they tell, like, oh, buy this toaster, you know, $999, damn good, can have Wi-Fi, can have blah, blah, blah. That is direct.
Wi-Fi, that was really great. But
yeah, while you toast your bread, you know, then you have a live stream on Facebook Live. No, but they are very spec-driven. But then content marketing is actually teaching you how to use a toaster, 10 different ways to make toast, you know, or even educating, entertaining, informing, but most importantly, inspiring. So to answer Raj and also Flora, right, the best way to build brand loyalty is to do content marketing so that you can build your community around your brand. Because once you build a community around your brand, you kind of have like a force field. You kind of have that ozone layer to protect that inner core, which is your brand foundations and what your brand stands for. Like exactly why Evangeline drinks Coke, because there is a community around Coke, and also because Coke has caffeine in it. But you know, let's not talk about that, you know. But then you see, right, when you build a community, it is building a universe around your brand. Another case study would be Avengers, Marvel Studios. How did they take Iron Man 1 into the franchise that it is today, 10 years later? They built a universe around the Marvel Studios brand. You know? So, secondly, is it difficult? No, it is not. Everybody is all digital. Future consumption patterns, everybody is on their phone, their smartphone, their smart TV, their smart hand, their smart watch, whatever lah. Everything's smart lah, except the people. What? No. But then that is the future consumption patterns. So if you put everything digital, I agree with what Evangeline says. A lot of brands are actually cutting back on marketing spend. But the best way to do it is actually increase your marketing spend, but instead of selling, you do sharing. So another good example would be Circles Life. They actually bought out a full page spread on Straits Times, right? Not to sell their plans, not to sell their packages. They actually said, hey, StarHub, Singtel, M1, let's band together and then give power back to the consumers during this time. God damn son of a beep! You spend $5,000 for a full page spread just to say, hey, let's band together and be united. Which brand would ever think of doing that? Food for thought.
Awesome. How about you?
Can I add something? Can I add something from a data perspective? Because I think these questions are very good. Is how do you actually do even brand loyalty during this kind of time? Now it's actually during this kind of time that you really have to differentiate the loyal customers and the not so loyal customers, right? So, and it's all in your data because, like for example, Evangeline, she'll still be drinking Coke, right? So those who actually are with you, they'll still be using your products and services despite what has happened. Those are the loyal ones. But what makes them tick? So remember, I just talked about, just now I was talking about using a fixed lens, which is not the right way of doing analytics. So a lot of people say they analyzed the data, they couldn't find anything, especially nowadays with so many different behavioral changes, so many different types of competition coming in and disturbance in the market. If you just use fixed lens to actually look at your, those, we call it used to those kind of dimensions, you will never find anything new. So my take is to use the active lens, right? To basically to look at, or the moving lens, to actually look at all these different things and to take in using technology like artificial intelligence, because that's why it is now very, very much the main thing in analytics. So analytics is very widespread, right? So basically using AI, what it can do is that automatically it will detect the changes and to discover the influencing factors that makes your customer tick. That's what you want. You do all kinds of different market testing on your different campaigns or different contents. You really need to see what works and what don't work. And you need to see it very quickly, right? So using AI, it has the power to comb through multi-dimensional data. Remember, you shouldn't use a fixed lens to look at fixed data dimension, but you should look at all dimensions, and AI is able to discover the changes in all the different influencing factors, and it's done automatically, right? And it's very quick because you're using the computer processing power rather than your human processing power to try to analyze and try to understand. And so it can sift through the multi-factor relationship that affects all different buying behavior, or your what makes your loyal customers tick. And it continue, the good thing is that it continue to examine the moving interlinking relationship to discover what is this new purchase behavior, or what are the accurate profiles that we should be targeting our marketing campaign to improve the accuracy. So this is the, So don't say you have analyzed data. There are many ways of analyzing data. So get the correct way to analyze data. That is my take.
I love it, Irene. I've been using AI in our company and I've never looked back. It's like the best thing happened ever. I love it so much.
Great, I have an advocate.
You do.
So Roy, I'd like to add on to Raj's question. You know, it literally takes us back to our very first topic just now when we spoke about, you know, future-proofing and recovery marketing efforts. So I think the bigger question is not how brands build brand loyalty. It's all about sustaining brand loyalty. And, you know, going back to what Evangeline said just now about her loyalty to Coke, it all starts from the very beginning of time. You know, how you start your brand strategy, and it's an ongoing effort, right? Not doing it now only because there's a pandemic and then you are suddenly having a knee-jerk reaction and say, oh no, I gotta do brand loyalty. It's all about sustainability and how relevant your efforts are, how targeted your channels are again. Now, I also like to share this very good example. A lot of people weren't aware, okay, or what happened in Malaysia during this pandemic, at the height of it, as it grew, as infection rates was going up, and then there were talks that other countries were being locked down, and then there were also news that there was going to be this MCO, Movement Control Order, so that all businesses will have to shut, everything will come to a halt. So sundry shops, groceries, all these mom and pop stores and these uncles and aunties who were running their sundry shop and their local grocery stores, they suddenly went into a lot of people thought that they were going to go into panic mode. Actually, they weren't. Whilst a lot of people out there were panic buying and stocking up wrong products, these sundry shops and groceries started stocking up, guess what? Beer. Tons and tons of beer. No joke, right? They stocked up beer. Crates and crates of beer. I even have pictures of them stocking it up until it almost hit the ceiling. So their neighbors were wondering, why are these guys stocking up beer instead of stocking up things like canned food or toilet paper where everybody's buying? So they just waited. The second week into MCO, all they did was digital transformation. It doesn't have to be in-depth digital. They just needed two Indian brothers that went online and said, hey, Macha, we've got beers. Come to us. And they weren't greedy. It wasn't about short-term profit. It was about long-term brand building, staying relevant, all right? So they say, hey, come to us. We've got beers. We know you're running out of beers. You know you need to drink at home. Come to us. They didn't sell it at an exorbitant price. They sold it at just slightly higher than usual price, and they threw in delivery. And bam, everybody started making money from there. They were relevant, right? Because they focus on what's most important at that time. People need to drink. Let's be honest. So it all goes back about them not being out of business, using digital in a very simple way and staying relevant in that sense.
Understand. All right, great. Guys, thank you for sharing. I think my personal take is really, you know, kind of like a mix about what you guys are saying. So I really agree with what Evangeline mentioned just now, which, you know, brand loyalty is not built in a day. It's not because, you know, like what she liked Coke, right? It's not because, oh, COVID-19, then I like Coke. No. So I think it's a very good way to reflect on, right, is some of the brands recently, even not just B2C, you know, B2B brands or even B2C brands. Like a very good example is like Grab, 1FC. I think fellow marketers, business owners here may have heard the news recently, you know, that most of them, they have like a, you know, job reduction, you know, job cuts and etc. But they show empathy. And the fellow marketers around in LinkedIn, Facebook, or, you know, even the marketing magazines and etc. are saying that, you know, they show empathy. They are supporting them. They are behind them, you know, in the decision. These are key things towards brand loyalty. They have already built such a brand loyalty upfront prior to this COVID. And even though they did something that wasn't like, you know, cutting down costs, you know, streamlining of their businesses and etc. It's not common practice. It's not things that the government advocate for. But at the end of the day, even fellow marketers and even the users are behind them, supporting them, which I think is the key. That, you know, brand loyalty is all about having the empathy and have its consistency, right? Sustenance branding, sustenance PR, and so on and so forth. I think right now there's quite a number of good questions. So I really wish to answer all of them. So I'll try my best to only answer a few more. because all of every one of our panelists here has really shared a lot and in depth. So to our final panelists, let's try to speed up the pace so all of us can, they can answer all the questions because all of them have some burning questions to answer. So let's try to help everyone. So next up, we have from Meng Chin. So sorry if I pronounce your name wrongly. So the question is, everyone is moving online and there's data overload. How do you make your messages stand out above the rest? Or how do we make our messages stand out above the rest?
So I guess to break the awkward silence, Irene has something to share. Let's move it on to
I
Irene.
thought data. I hear the word data, I must answer, right?
The keyword.
I was still trying to find the question.
The important is still your relevancy of your content and personalization, right? So if your message will automatically stands out from the rest if it is relevant to me, for example, right? I mean, everybody can shout about everything, but if it is relevant, I will listen to yours. And if it is personalized to me, I'll be very happy, and I think that you treat me as a really important person in your, in your campaigns. So I will actually come in. So how do you do that? You use active data mining instead of using passive data mining. Don't look at the fixed dimensions that you've been fixing, and try to come up with a new way of being relevant. You cannot be relevant if you're looking at fixed things and based on your business rules in previously, that to actually try to find relevancy in the new normal situation, you see. So you have to always keep your open mind and to be able to look at all data as it is, interlinking relationships, interlinking a multi-dimensional data, which artificial intelligence has been proven over the years to actually be able to capture that for you. So to capture that pattern, the new pattern for you, and you will actually know how to make your particular message or campaign relevant and personalized to that particular audience. Of course, I'm saying it in a very short because now we have not much time. I have also, I think I offered a 30 minutes free session with the organizer. So if you really want to talk to me, you can actually talk to me after that. Thank you.
Actually, to build on to what Irene said, active data research and active data mining, I can give you guys a very good example. So there is this influencer company called Kobe Technologies, right? Run by this, not bad looking leader. What they actually do, right? what they actually do is they have webinars to talk about influencer marketing and educate the industry. But right at the end of the entire webinar, they'll send out a follow-up email. And in that email, they actually do survey questions, asking people to fill up a form to talk about what you guys liked, what didn't you like, what do you want to learn more of. Now that is a very good case study of personalization and also understanding what your audience wants. Because sometimes whenever a brand gets too engrossed in their vanity matrix and also their ego, they will just put out content that serves their superiors, to serve the 5 people on the board of directors, not the 500,000 customers that they have. So how Kobe Tech does it is really through market research. And then following webinar, they will dwell on the questions that were asked, and then it actually helps to build the industry as a whole. Now to do a shameless plug, I talk about people, I have to talk about myself also, right? So how I actually, me and my team, we embarking on a podcast series called The Other F Words, talking about your favorite campaign. Was it fresh or was it a failure? Now, previously, when we first started out, we wanted to talk about success stories of startups. But then that was our POV. I then went out on a LinkedIn market research campaign to ask like over 300 people in my network, do you listen to podcasts? A, and B, what do you want to listen about? And then from there, we realized that, actually people want to learn about failures. They want to learn about the content creation process of any campaign and what the client objectives are, what the deliverables were, and what were the final outcomes. And that actually crafted the entire series. So to answer Meng Ching, everyone's moving online. How do you rise above the noise? Really, personalization. How about Edmond and Evangeline? What do you guys think?
Thanks for helping me us.
Sorry, I was trying to look for my unmute button. Yeah, so are we talking about personalization here, or you know, because it's like we're jumping into the next subject, right? So we've literally moved into
both. I think both the question are actually quite relevant.
Correct. Yeah. So in that sense of personalization, I think yes, it is definitely important, and it's one key factor that not just builds but sustains brand loyalty. So in an example of why Evangeline until today still drinks Coke and doesn't drink the other, you know, let's not name names.
Pepsi!
So yeah, another good example is like for me, for instance, I'm a diehard BMW fan, okay? But hey, I've never bought a brand new BMW, never. Why? Because simple, I couldn't afford. No, it's not that. It's because I liked old BMWs, okay? So in that sense, I've got an old E39 525. But we belong to this BMW club, which also BMW is part of. And when we talk about personalization, until today, they still talk to me about certain 5 Series. Of course, with the hopes that one day I will buy a brand new BMW from them. And will I? Yes, of course I will. So, I mean, in that sense, yeah, personalization is key to brand loyalty.
About you, Evangeline, what do you think?
I agree with everybody about personalization. I think, you know, when you walk past an MRT station when you can, and then people stuff a leaflet to you or a free umbrella to you, you'll be like, you don't want it. But if at that point of time, you really want to be applying for something and you really want to have a credit card, right? You wouldn't be irritated by that person throwing a flyer to you. I just want to put things into context about how important relevance is and personalization. So I think I'm just gonna kind of summarize the rest for Ming Ching. Yeah. Either if you want to stand out, either you spend a lot or you spend smartly. I think we prefer to spend smartly. So to spend smart will be to go, for my take, right, would be to go into emotions part of things, because we remember things that we are intrigued by, that touches somewhere here, because in our minds we scroll Instagram or Facebook like the speed of lightning, right, and we don't remember anything. But yeah, thank you for the good demonstration, Jeremiah. So we scroll that so quickly. Something that stands out to us is because something we can relate to, something that we care about. The word here is care, and care comes from the heart. So I think if you are able to spend smartly, relevantly, then you can for sure stand out. Yeah.
Actually, Roy, you don't mind, right? To play devil's advocate, apart from personalization, right, another school of thought is really to just effing do it. You know, don't have that fear holding you back. Just create content, just put things out there, because when you are creating at scale, this one is very Gary V school of thought, which is really just whatever is on your mind, just regurgitate and then put it online, because you never know what message is going to hit who on what platform at what time. So don't have that fear of creating, have that fearlessness of creating, and don't blame your lack of resource. Engage your resourcefulness. That's what Tony Robbins also always says. Don't blame your lack of resource. Don't blame COVID. Just do it. I mean, that's moving on to the other things talking about budget. But back to you, Roy.
All right, awesome. So I think to add on to what both Irene have mentioned just now, I think regarding the data cleaning, right? So I would like to remind everyone that, you know, all of us here will be part of the brand audit. So if you have any questions that's relating to your company, there will be a brand audit later which you can opt in for. If you're interested, you know, to have a brand audit about your company, we'll analyze and see what is most suitable for you. And you can opt in for, you know, video content creation by Jeremiah, or even, you know, influencer marketing by Evangeline. And also very thankful that Irene also giving a free 30-minute consultation for a brand clinic. So if you opt in for it, we'll also send it over to you as well. So yeah, I think this is also an initiative by Edmond and the activation group. So, and also everyone chipping in their effort. Thank you so much. And let's try to move on to the next question. I know everyone here is pressed for time. So understand that I think personalization, you know, is answered just now. So Michelle, I'm so sorry, I'll skip your question. Don't mind me, guys. So next up, we have from Jia Yong first before I'll answer Jeremy later. So for Jia Yong, so his question is, hi, I'm a B2B marketer at a software as a service startup. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? I think it's a software as a service. So SaaS, software as a service startup, we have only recently started our marketing efforts, content marketing plus SEO. My question is this, since we talk about the planning for the future, how do you think we can build a marketing strategy as a company that has just started marketing? Because as a startup, we are always racing against time to get leads in the short term while building a long-term brand, which may not reflect business value in the short term. Okay, so software as a service, I think B2B wise, personally, I'm doing a lot of B2B clients, right? So I think I have not really introduced myself, right? I totally forget. Everyone introduced themselves. So I'm from an integrated communication agency from DIFY. So we do, PR work, we do, some event activations, and we do some of the basically digital marketing for our clients as well. So we do work closely with everyone here, all the panelists here as well. So for B2B marketing, I feel it's a very tricky form of things. It relies a lot on key partnerships to drive long-term branding as well as short-term, I would say, marketing as well. Because I understand the short-term marketing is more on like ROI basis, right? Which means like most of the marketing, small startups, right, do not want to spend that much of a budget initially for marketing. Like attending a big conference costs easily 20,000, 30,000 in terms of sponsorship. And for B2B, let's talk about maritime wise, right? Maritime is mostly conferences. I mean, you don't see them getting a billboard ads in halfway of Orchard Road or Ion and saying, we do B2B logistics. 9 out of 10 people who see will not care, right? 9 out of 10 people who see will not care. And that's not a good ROI. So spending on conferences is also quite costly for most startups. So most of our clients focus a lot on B2B partnerships, like partnership with institutions, partnerships with, fellow agencies like ourselves, here. So I think it's very crucial because partnership-wise, I think Jeremiah did a webinar talking about partnership previously. I was there. I listened to you. So I think working with key agencies or key partners in the region is very important to drive your marketing forward. And in terms of the B2B side of things, whereas, long-term side of things, I think key branding in terms of, sustenance form of PR, thought leadership articles, in terms of a PR perspective, I think it's pretty important to see and position yourself as a thought leader in the space, because B2B wise, most of the articles will be featured in B2B magazines, right? Or even verticals magazines, like for example, software as a service magazines, you'll probably, be featured as certain technology magazines, or depending on your verticals that you address to. So yeah, that's for me. Anyone of you guys want to address B2B? I think Jeremiah did a lot of B2B clients, right?
Oh wow! Thank you for putting me on the spot. Everybody, Roy, from DIFY,
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Roy, for airing me. Jia Young. So whenever you start on any campaign, right, I always follow this rule of thumb. Is in the CVP group we call it the alphabet soup. OBTTPBTV. So WTF is that string of alphabets. Firstly, you always need to understand your objective. Whatever you do, you need to have a purpose of intent. Don't do things for FFS. You need to do things for a reason. So objective, right? Secondly, what is your brand message? What is your SaaS? What is your SaaS? You cannot say SaaS now. What is your SaaS, right? What do you stand for? What do you mean? Who do you want to help? What is your solution to the industry problem? Thirdly, target audience. You need to understand your target audience, your target persona, and your also your own personal brand persona. Because blue ocean strategy sometimes can work, if you're a mass market retail firm.
Spray and pray, I would call it.
Yeah, spray and pray, like, champagne showers. Sometimes it works, but I would say niche marketing most of the time always works. So you need to understand who's your target audience. Third, timeline. You need to understand your campaigning from end to end, right? It is almost like a production timeline or PMT timeline. You need to understand what is going to happen when, benchmark it, milestone it, and then work backwards from fulfillment. So you need to understand your timeline. Now, the next 4 letters, what are they? OBTT, PBTV. Okay, platform. You need to understand your platform because not all platforms are created equal. Not all consumers are on every single platform. Each platform that you want to publish, distribute, syndicate, or host on is very different. People on LinkedIn might not be on Instagram, mind you. So you need to understand the platform persona. Okay? Now, budget. Most of the time, budget is always a very sensitive thing, but you need to have figures. Because if you don't have figures, you will never understand how much you're willing to invest into your marketing strategy, into your marketing content creation campaign. $500, $5,000, $50,000, the treatment formats and outputs are very different, okay? Second last, T, the next T, that is talent. So are you going to have somebody, an ambassador to front your campaign? Are you going to engage, Kobe Tech, Evangeline to be your influencer? Are you going to be your ambassador or chief cheerleader for your own SaaS? You need to understand who is your talent. And lastly, you need to have visual references. All of us, we're all visual creatures. You need to have a Pinterest board, a mood board, even just a collage of pictures or links to videos that you've seen before that you want to emulate. Because if you build the campaign in your mind, it is easier to visualize that from your brain, your theater of the mind, and then actualize it in reality. So once again, to recap, OBTTPBTV, alphabet soup. Good to eat, good to execute. Back to you, Roy.
All right, guys. So B2B, I understand, may not be everyone's expertise. So wanna see any of it. All right, Evangeline, I guess Jeremiah arrow you ready. So it's your turn.
Sure. So for Jiayong, right, from the question that you have asked, right, I kind of get a sensing that you might be putting them into two buckets. Like, okay, brand budgets is like that, and then I'm not going to get ROI, but I'm going to get good value. And then marketing budgets, it's cost per lead. I assume that you're looking at things like that from the way that you're asking the question, and then you're doing SEO and content marketing. But I'd like to maybe have you consider this other school of thought, that it may not have to be segregated like that. When you are doing marketing, it doesn't mean that you do marketing with an ugly brand. Marketing is like a loud hailer, and brand is the person that is speaking. If I am a brand, the way that I dress my hair, my clothes, and my lipstick, as I go out there and sell and promote my products, I need to say the right thing. I need to be at the right places to say what I want to say, right? I want to be at Orchard Road. That's a channel for marketing to amplify. But for me, it doesn't mean that I have to go to Orchard Road in shorts and slippers, right? Consider that you may not necessarily have to bucket them in this way. Maybe I'm guessing that, okay, a brand budget, I'm going to spend a lot of money, but I got no ROI, but in long term, magically something will happen. I think that's a common misconception. But actually, if you think about it, it doesn't have to be so separate. You can still do marketing, amplification, buying media, online, offline, SEO, SEM, stuff like that. And it doesn't have to be ugly. Your brand tonality, the imagery, the strong visuals can be consistent as well. It doesn't have to be ugly. So in that way, I hope it can kind of help you to achieve both. And then when you have made enough, you really want to do that kind of a real, the kind of brand TVC or whatsoever, then go for it. Yeah.
Awesome. So any other, pointers that you wish to give, any of the fellow panelists wish to give Jiayong? If not, I'll move on to the next question and try to sum it up soon. Okay, right now we'll go with the very, very last question, all right? So if the rest of the questions that doesn't get answered, do not worry. We will still reach out. We'll reach out to you, via email, try to understand the questions and etc. And we will also, if any of the questions, some of it is directed at maybe, for example, Irene, some of it is directed at Jeremiah or Evangeline, we will also email to them so that they will reply you. So do not worry. So let me try to find one last question that can relate to everyone. So there's one by Brendan Ng. So how can we, I think because this is related to brand loyalty, right? So I choose you. So I'm so sorry that the rest I couldn't answer your question. I'd like to apologize. So for Brendan Ng, how can we quantify brand loyalty or measure it?
Evan will probably have very good insights on this. Can I arrow again, macam?
I don't think there's any way to even measure or quantify it. Like you said, brand loyalty is an emotional thing. Like one way of quantifying it is Evangeline until today talking that she only drinks Coke. That's a measurement, right?
Not only, I assume.
Yes, I like to assume. And about me talking about only driving BMWs. So I think that's one way of measuring it and quantifying it. That people will keep on embracing your brand, people will keep on using your brand, people talking about it, being an advocate about it, and always praising you. So to really go down into in-depth, how do you really quantify a measure? I think it's a bit difficult in that sense.
To be an opposite POV from Edmond, Circles Life, right, my client, how they actually quantify brand loyalty is through measuring word of mouth marketing or referral marketing. So, the Circles Life app, they actually have a discover function and they have a refer a friend function. So how they actually measure it, their matrix is amount of referrals, which is actually something that a lot of brands overlook, because what they are looking for is first tier customer acquisition. What they don't realize that there's second tier, third tier, oh my God, 10th tier. So every single share through either their EDMs, their mobile, or even their signups, they measure that in terms of success, their success matrix, which also kind of brings it back to brand loyalty, because like Edmond, you said, when you are loyal to a brand, you'll be an advocate, you'll be a cheerleader, you'll be an ambassador, you'll be an evangelist, you'll be everything, you'll be preaching the word of Coke, of BMW, of the brand that you support.
The preacher.
Yeah, you become a preacher. So that is one way that you can actually measure brand loyalty, by word of mouth marketing.
Yeah, I think I really agree with you. I think just to, it's very true on what Jeremiah said, right? Which is basically not just Circles Life, right? And what he mentioned is correct. Not a lot of brands are doing it. But if you do notice, most of the bigger brands, established brands or successful brands are doing it. And they do really put into considerations on like the second tier of the referral or third tier, which like what Jeremiah mentioned, 10th tier of referral, right? So like you see there will be like Shopee, there's Grab, they do a lot of referral as well. So I think this is very, very important.
But then to play devil's advocate again, in PR campaigns, it is very organic and things can go extreme left, extreme right. So you can have extreme brand loyalty, you can also have extreme brand unloyalty, So when things are online, right, you cannot control certain things and consensus can be either positive or negative. When you have one bad experience, that's it, man. You're going to lose 10 customers.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Your perspective. And talking about online, let's ask Evangeline, spreading on online messages, that's definitely her area of expertise.
Actually, I was hoping to hear from Irene if there is any breakthrough in tracking loyalty based on data, all those social listening and blah, blah, blah mentions, the feedback loop with survey, knowing referrals. Is there any breakthrough in the data part of things for measuring this emotions?
Thanks, Evangeline, for arrowing me. Okay. I think yes, there is definitely, the technology is moving so fast, right? Especially in social listening portion, where actually we use technology in the area of artificial intelligence. Of course, AI is very broad; it has many components in it, right? So where actually we use AI to do social listening of emotions, of feedback, in our survey. Like let's say you can look at how the social media conversations are. You can actually eavesdrop there and then use this to use technology to pick up, right, the actual what are they feeling about this particular thing. And of course, in terms of survey, we use of course different types of AI to comb through the different factors that are coming in. We don't have, that's why I was trying to say, don't use only fixed lens kind of passive analytics. Use a combination of passive and active analytics, right? To actually comb through all the different survey results, and you will actually find new insights and that point to an area that whether is it an emerging trend of things or dying trends of things, you can actually see that happening real time. Yeah,
Actually,
I hope that.
To play the devil's advocate again, when, yeah, I know I'm such a bastard. When will, this kind of social listening become invasive marketing? Because, with retargeting campaigns, retarget marketing, and even data marketing and data mining, some people will say like, wow, I talk about sofa, then walao, I scroll my Instagram and then suddenly Kasuri recommend me a sofa to buy. When will AI draw the line in terms of invasive marketing?
Good question. Basically, it's PDPA also, Personal Data Protection Act. So for AI, of course, you can see those people building ethical committee to actually make sure that AI doesn't become invasive into people's personal life. So how we do, like for me, I've been doing data mining using AI and BI and active and passive for the past 20 over years. I normally do not go into very detailed personal data because you can also look at the trend without going into personal data. That means you don't point that particular pattern to a person, a certain guy, but you can look at it from the a mass kind of without the personal data. You can still do very good data mining without using very detailed personal data portion. Yeah. Due to the time limitation, I think we are it's now 5:29.
That's
so
cool.
I do not want to say too much.
I think Evangeline, why not you sum it up for this?
Okay. Yeah, I was very, very good question, Jeremiah, asking about the invasive part. Because the way that we measure loyalty all along, right, is always based on something that I need to express, either by my purchase behavior, or the things I say on social media, or some feedback form that I fill in, or the referral that I give, or someone asks me, how likely are you to recommend this, blah, blah. So it's all something that I need to explicitly express or set an action to. I was trying to hear whether there is an answer, put a microchip in us and then we can start to study, in your head,
Aren't we already implanted with microchips?
I was very curious about that.
So I guess brand loyalty is only measurable when there is a certain particular campaign, right? Or a research that's being sent out, whether it's on digital or social media. But
survey,
then how is it measurable then in, say for instance, like me, I'm a BMW lover, and then through our club, we meet other Mercedes lovers, and then we've actually converted them through just test drive by one person driving my car and said, oh my God, your E39 is fantastic, it's responsive. And then it's conversion, and then from there he becomes brand loyal. How do you then measure that when it's actually not digital, neither is it social media, it's just purely on-ground interaction through a club? How then do you quantify that measurement? Is that even measurable?
Yeah, that's why all the measurement techniques or methods that we're using is all requiring a feedback. It depends on whether that friend of yours who was a convert from MERS to BM, right? MERS to BM, whether he filled in a certain survey or whether that was even recorded somewhere somehow, whether a survey was done, survey was accurate, survey was comprehensive, was there at the right time and all that stuff. So this, of course, has a lot of inaccuracies. And maybe I could have bought that BMW, but maybe actually it's not because I test drive it, it's because my wife liked it or something. I'm just saying example, right? And how accurate and really is that decision purely because of the test drive? There's so many dimensions to why we make certain decisions, right? I think it's flawed. I think there was two things in my mind. If there is an invasive form of tracking things, it would be extremely accurate, which is perfect. But it will also be extremely scary, which I'm not ready for. I don't think the world is ready for that either. So we will have to rely on these less invasive but less accurate tracking methods, survey, referrals, and all that stuff. Brand recall, brand lift survey, those things that you see on YouTube. Did you recall seeing this ad? Stuff like that. And that can give you a good indication of brand loyalty.
Yeah, like sales law, especially, post-sales feedback loops or even growth loops. A good example, once again, is Yvonne with her webinars, post-sales follow-up. They'll send an email and then send how did you find this? What things can we follow up with? That can actually be also a good matrix to gauge your brand loyalty. So for product-focused brands like your conversion from Mercedes to BMW, it can be a very manual process where people ask them, like you said, feedback survey. How did you convert? Or no, people don't say that. How did you find out of this brand? Was it word of mouth? SEO, Google Ads. So I guess there are ways to measure it. It's just whether how you define your success.
Understand. Awesome, guys. So I think right now, thank you for sharing, and answering all the questions, and thank you to all attendees for joining us as well today. So, right now, we sad to say that we can't answer all your questions, but don't worry. Once again, I'd like to remind everyone that, we will send over a post-event email, like what Jeremiah mentioned as well. We will be sending over the survey as well, so do not worry. So thank you to all panelists who joined us in this webinar today. It's indeed a treat to have all your insightful takes and also on cultivating brand loyalty in this time. Thank you, everyone. So I would like to once again inform everyone that the Activation Group is offering a free brand consultation for companies who are interested to know more. Also, this free brand consultation will include a complimentary data analytic clinics with Irene, the adjunct lecturer at NUS, as well as the Vice President of Association of SME. So the free brand consultation will also include basically a 360 brand consultation on your company that, see what I've mentioned just now, if you are basically suitable for, content marketing, basically, or, like influencer marketing, or even like a 360 marketing plan from the Activation Group. So please kindly indicate the form that is popping up right now in your screen if you're interested to get a free brand consultation done up for your company.
Can I have it too?
Sure, please opt in as well. Everyone can opt in.
Can I too?
Hosts and panelists cannot vote. So sad.
Boo.
Yeah, okay. So you can basically just opt in. It's all right. You can't vote, but you can opt in.
I love it. Thanks for offering this to everybody. Really appreciate it. I mean, a lot of times you guys, it's based on the hours that you spend, and you're offering this extended hours to offer this for free. I really appreciate this.
Yes, I mean, I really appreciate, all of you taking a time off as well for joining us. So really, I think we are trying to do this, the Activation Group is trying to do this so that, it's not just a form of, don't worry, it's not just a form of saying that, we want to close you after sales service, no, or before sales service. It's more like we really want to let you understand more on your brand to make, more concise choice on which is the best marketing effort so they can save the marketing budget and also having the best and maximize ROI as well.
I think it's also one way of us contributing back to the society or to the community or the marketing community. We know everybody is going through a hard time here, things ain't going back to normal. Sorry guys, but this is the new norm. So, and we understand situation is really bad. So we just, want to help out to brands and businesses out there and share our insights into all kinds of topics, like even, digital transformation. I guess we're not going on the last topic, are we, Roy?
No, so right now, we basically end the entire panel discussion. So sorry that we can't cover all, because I understand that, it has been pretty time overrun. So in the meantime, I also like, while we are waiting for everyone whether they are deciding or not between the two options, taking a very long time while we are waiting for them, we would like to also once again, kindly implore everyone to assist us with the survey once we leave this webinar. Once you leave this webinar, it will pop out. In your browser, you can, fill in, etc. So yeah. So have everyone fill in your request for a brand consultation. So don't be shy, we are here to help. So please feel free to fill in and request for a free brand audit to spearhead our brand into the next level. So once again, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing everyone for our next webinar series. And do note that this is a webinar series, and do stay tuned to our Facebook, LinkedIn pages, and follow the rest of them, their LinkedIn pages as well, and their company's Facebook page. And for more information, please do remember to stay tuned to our webinar series. And that's all for today. And this is Roy from DIFY signing off.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. All right, see y'all. Bye.
Bye.